They forget what you do in September and October, man. And teams that want to be great, they make a statement in November. And here we go, right now, out the gate. We walk out of here, get those horns sharp, get that look in your eye, anything in white, destroy it.
Hackenberg will toss. Saquon Barkley tries to cut back, and he's dropped behind the line of scrimmage. He slipped. Hackenberg looking, floats it down the left sideline, and it is broken up.
Job of never giving up and pursuing Hackenberg in the pocket. Hackenberg does a good job of keeping the play alive. I'm just trying to find out Hackenberg's 6.
On 2nd and 10, Oliver throws to the end zone, caught, touchdown, Christian Jones.
Greetings, Wildcat fans. I'm Bob.
I'm Larry. This is Catnips. It is week 11 of the college football season, and last Saturday, Northwestern defeated Penn State 23-21 at Ryan Field. It was Northwestern's 7th win of the season. It guarantees Northwestern a winning season in 2015. It also guarantees the Wildcats a Big Ten Bowl, and it puts Northwestern 18th in the college football playoff rankings. So Northwestern last week, actually the week before, had cracked the inaugural 2015 CFP ratings at 21st place. With the win over Penn State, they move up to 18th. They're just 3 spots away from the team's all-time record in either the BCS or college football playoff rankings. Of course, those rankings began with the BCS in 1998. Northwestern was 15th after the 2000 Michigan win, and so we're very close to actually this team's all-time highest rankings for the playoffs. So last Saturday against Penn State, Northwestern had a rough time of it later on in the second half. They lost a 20-7 lead in the game. Jack Mitchell had missed 2 field goals and a PAT, leaving 7 points on the field. And, of course, Clayton Thorson had left the game with a lower body injury early on. But despite all that adversity, Northwestern came back. They ended up winning by 2 points on after Zach Oliver took the game basically on his shoulders and actually rushed for a touchdown in Zach Kustokian fashion. In honor of the honorary captain for the game. Jack Mitchell saw redemption by kicking the game-winning field goal. And Northwestern, in a very encouraging fashion, did what they had to do to win that game.
And that was much as what the Wildcats looked like a few weeks ago at Nebraska, when they also did what they had to do to win the game. A significant win out at Lincoln, and all the more important because it stopped what looked like might become a losing skid. And in fact, as a result of that game, the Cats went 2-2 in October, and that ties the all-time best performance by a Pat Fitzgerald team in Big Ten play in October.
October's been a rough month, typically, in the Big Ten.
And the good news now, Larry, is we're in November. And Pat Fitzgerald teams tend to do much better in November than they do in October. So we may see some sunny skies ahead despite the November climb. We did see what we called the plays of the game in that Nebraska game. And we'll talk about that significance in a moment. But the other significant factor that we saw in that Nebraska game was the Cats appeared to get their mojo back. And I know we had talked about the mojo being missing when I was over in Doha. Pat Fitzgerald did not agree with that, of course.
Yeah, Fred, I don't know if we lost our mojo. I hate to disappoint bloggers, but our guys don't listen to them. I mean, they don't. They don't.
Maybe he wasn't aware of the international search that was going on for the missing mojo.
He might not have been, and I do have to say I really hope Coach Fitz and the players are not watching our blogs because we're not trying to influence them. And if there are any players watching this blog, please turn it off now. We don't want you getting polluted in your thinking by the inanity and the nonsense that we commit here. So back to those plays of the game. the plays of the game were significant in more of a broader historical context. If you look at Northwestern as momentum trends, not just within a particular game, but over a season and maybe over several seasons, it seemed like in the latter Pat Fitzgerald era, the team had topped, if you want to look at it in market terms, when Pat Fitzgerald went jogging up onto the game day stage out on the lakefront in Evanston just before the Ohio State game. And the bottom of what became a pretty precipitous slide there for a while seems to have come out in Nebraska in this game with our two plays of the game. So they would be initially Miles Schuler going back to around the 4-yard line, signaling fair catch and actually making the catch, putting the Cats in horrible
He made the catch,
position.
though.
But he did make the catch, yes.
So there's that.
Followed by the next play where the offensive line seemingly took the play off, and Clayton Thorson was basically a pinata back in the end zone. And Coach Fitz did have a more technical explanation of that play in this clip.
And then, we got double slants to the field, and the inside slant was taken away by a coverage concept. Clayton should have gone to the outside slant or thrown it away, and probably a call that we'd like to have back as a staff.
So, Bob, it's time to award the Purple Fists, plural, Fists of Justice. And we're going to be looking at both the Nebraska win and the Penn State win. So we have 2 players for each game that we are awarding Purple Fists of Justice. So for Nebraska, number 1 is Clayton Thorson. Clayton Thorson had 126 rushing yards, including 2 fantastic plays where, the game was on the line essentially. The offense really wasn't moving. And again, as we had mentioned with Zach Oliver channeling Zach Kustak, we saw more Kustakian moves coming out of Clayton Thorson 3 weeks ago at Nebraska. So congratulations, Clayton Thorson. The other kind of obvious winner in the Nebraska game is Dean Lowry, who seemed to be all over the field. He was a monstrous presence in that game. 6 tackles for loss, which is a Northwestern record, and I think it ties for 6th place in the Big Ten all time for a game. So congratulations to Dean. And then the Penn State game, finally, we can say fist favorite Justin Jackson earns a Purple Fist of Justice. He had 186 yards against the Nittany Lions, which is a personal best. So congratulations to Justin. And then Solomon Bolt, who had the 96-yard kickoff return, his 2nd kickoff return for touchdown this season. So congratulations to Mr. Bolt.
Hooray for new math, new math. It won't do you a bit of good to review math. It's so simple, so very simple, that only a child can do it.
So, I guess the situation is clarified, but it seems more confusing. Can you illuminate us here on bowl math, Larry?
So, yeah, bowl math, as we talked about at the intro, with 7 wins, Northwestern is absolutely guaranteed to have a Big Ten tie-in bowl. Given the number of eligible teams by the end of the season, and there are only probably going to be 8 or 9 Big Ten teams that are going to be bowl eligible, it's almost certain that Northwestern is going to be going to, at the very least, the Foster Farms Bowl, all the way up to the Citrus Bowl. So some of the lower tiered bowls like the Armed Services Bowl or Detroit are off the table. Northwestern will certainly be going to a better bowl than those. So, as far as where in that range from Citrus to Foster Farms Northwestern goes, obviously the most important factor are these last 3 games and whether or not Northwestern can win out or at least get 2 out of 3. The other big factor here is how many Big Ten teams are going to be in New Year's 6 tie-in bowls. A lot of the media right now are predicting that Northwestern will make it to the Outback or the Holiday Bowl because they're predicting that 3 teams, Michigan State, Iowa, and Ohio State, are going to make it to those New Year's 6 bowls. It's probably more likely, I think, that Ohio State and maybe Iowa will make it to those Tier 1 New Year's 6 bowls, and that would leave Michigan State for something like the Citrus.
No, Michigan State pays a very, very high price then for getting jumped by
the refs.
They'll be
looking at that Nebraska video for quite a long time. Yeah.
So tell me, though, Larry, is there any chance we could get the Domers in our bowl game? Wouldn't you love to see that matchup?
There is a chance, but we'll see what happens. It would be very interesting to see Northwestern versus, say, Notre Dame in the Pinstripe Bowl in New York City. That would be galactic in terms of storyline.
That
so
would be, and there would be quite the turnout of the NU alumni in New York, that's for sure.
Sorry.
Try a little old Toby. It'll help settle your nerves. And out.
So, Larry, with these two narrow wins, and I guess they were both by 2 points now, weren't they?
Yep.
The Cats have actually gotten themselves into a pretty good position in the Big Ten season. And overall, destiny may be beckoning for this team. I don't want to get ahead of myself here, but 3 more wins, closing out the regular season with 3 wins, would put the Cats at 10 wins for the season.
Correct.
And a bowl win on top of that would, for the first time, put the Cats with 11 wins. So there were 10 wins in 1903, thanks to your research. That 10th win was actually recovered. That was lost just like the Mojo a few weeks back. 1995 team won 10 games, and the 2012 team won 10 games, including the bowl win. Right. So here's a shot at being the 3rd team all time to win 10 games in the regular season and the first team to win 11. Now, some hurdles to overcome there. We haven't won in Camp Randall since 2000. They haven't won in Evanston since 1999. Somebody's going to have to budge on this home field advantage at some point. But that'd be great if we could pop that this year.
I think having another Catnips at the Mars Cheese Castle this year would be a wonderful moment. So,
and then we're going to have to tame the Illini and reclaim the hat in the, I think they're calling it the Windy City Series down at Soldier Field right after Thanksgiving. So that does present some challenges, but again, destiny beckons, and I'm pretty excited to see what unfolds here.
Yeah, we can't overlook the game against Purdue, and we'll get to that in just a second. But there is a real shot at history here for the Cats. So let's keep watching and hope.
And what's that I'm hearing? I think I'm hearing something big rolling in. It must be time for potables, and it must be time for talking about Purdue.
All right, let's do it. So, Bob, is it time for potables?
It is time for potables. What have we got this time?
So, for this week, in honor of Purdue and the world's largest drum, we have 14 hands from the Columbia Valley, and 14 hands denoting exactly how tall that drum is, at least in horse terms.
That is a big drum.
It's a very big drum.
A lot of horse sense to navigate it around.
I really hope that Purdue is able to pull off bringing the big drum to Ryan Field this Saturday. Wow. So in honor of Herculean logistical issues, cheers.
Cheers.
Thoughts?
I tell you, this has potential, but it's still pretty raw. And I think the Boilers are pretty much in the same condition. Darrell Hazel's a good coach, a lot of potential there. He's been recruiting new players to come in to replace the ones that Danny Hope left behind that are not really doing all that well, but they're still in transition. Nonetheless, they've shown some ability to be capable at certain junctures during the season, so I wouldn't completely overlook them. I would hate to hand them a win like Nebraska did, but make no mistake, they're going to come in. They're smarting from the spanking that the Illini gave them. If they had big heads after beating Nebraska, they sure got brought back down to earth. I hope we're not the ones to give them a shot in their ego.
Yeah, agreed. This is a somewhat affordable wine. It is, however, quite good, and it's very workmanlike. And so, it's tasty. This seems to be a tasty matchup for Northwestern. It seems like we should be able to get win number 3 for this team. But as you had pointed out, not so fast. Anything can happen. This really seems to be anything can happen year for college football and for the Big Ten particularly. And, just as they, put the zap on Nebraska and threw 55 points on the board, certainly if Northwestern is overlooking this game, looking to an 11-win season, as we heard one of the players point out this week.
You see, most blokes, be playing at 10. You're on 10 here, all the way up, all the way up, all the way up. You're on 10 on your guitar. Where can you go from there? Where?
I don't know.
Nowhere, exactly. What we do is, if we need that extra push over the cliff, you know what we do?
Put it up to 11.
11, exactly. One louder.
Why don't you just make 10 louder and make 10 be the top number and make that a little louder?
These go to 11.
that there's the potential to do that and to win out. If they're looking ahead, they're looking at Camp Randall, if they're looking to Soldier Field, then watch out. But as long as they take care of business, as long as there is a workmanlike effort this week, then I think we should be in good shape. And it should be a Cats victory. Maybe not by the 15-point spread that's out there right now, but maybe by 10. So here's to a good solid win, assuming that they don't get the week out of the way and start looking ahead too quickly.
So that's it for us this week. We're really glad you stopped by. Hope to see you again soon. And as always, go Cats!